darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I taught him. For the great relief of having you to talk to. Go and beat your crazy head against the sky. Try to see beyond the houses and your eyes. It's okay to shoot the moon, but darling, be home soon. My darling, be home soon. It's not just these few hours, but I've been waiting since I taught him. For the great relief of having you to talk to. For the great relief of having you to talk to.
All right.
Beautiful.
Jimmy and Colleen have both agreed to enter into marriage, and you both appear to be of sound mind. And you've now completed all the legal formalities in the province of Manitoba, and I declare you husband and wife.
But we know that it's going to be more than splendid. Now, since I'm a newcomer to the family, because, as I said, 1962, Dan is going to speak about some things that are very dear and close to his heart. Thank you. And I just wanted to say one thing. We are truly grateful that you decided to do your vows again. We know that you knew how badly we felt. We are truly grateful, but I think it was a good thing for you too, because the first time you say your vows, you're not even in your head. But now you've had a chance to relive it. And we're hoping that Sean will get up and marry you again so you can get tired.
I learned some very wonderful things tonight, things I never knew. For example, I did not know before tonight that my first cousin, Jim, is useless. That, to me, was a revelation. I also did not know that his wife was a daredevil driver with OCD and a dishwasher fetish. I have vague memories of a wedding that I attended as a 4-year-old in 1941. Don't bother figuring it out, I'm 77. The wedding was of Jim's parents.
42.
41. No, 42? I was 5.
Don't argue with your man.
I was 5. And from that marriage that I attended, and Pamela didn't come with me at that time, because I think she had menstrual cramps or something.
You led earlier, that there was a part missing that we often see, which is when the people in attendance are asked themselves if they know of any reason why two people should not be married or forever hold their peace, right?
You forgot.
You forgot that, because it's not a legal requirement. It's just a public health requirement. So I would like to put that question to this audience, but it has two aspects to it, because it's an opportunity and a responsibility to answer this question, because if none of us here knows any reason why these two should not be wed, we actually are also declaring our commitment to support their marriage. And that can come in many ways, because right now the honeymoon and everything you hardly know each other. And in time, you may need some support and assistance. And I'm going to call on everybody here, unless there's an objection, to make that commitment. That could be money, it could be free medical advice, it could be, it sounds like maybe some help with the little repairs there. Anyway.
Maybe long-term care.
Yeah. So, can I ask this group, does anybody here know of any reason why these two should not be legally married in the province of Manitoba?
I mentioned to them after my speech, I was wondering if the massages worked both ways.
Reciprocity.
They said no, so.
Okay, can I just clarify, so is this, you're stating an objection?
May it give to two questioning natures a reason for living and something to live for.
May it give a new gladness to the sunshine, a new fragrance to the flowers, a new beauty to the earth, and a new mystery to life.
Colleen and Jim, thank you for sharing this most auspicious day with all of us here, and may we all benefit from the abundant love you have for each other.
Off each other, and this comes, it is really only possible in an environment in which you're secure and happy and you know that you're loved. So that is a tribute to both of you guys. But you know, that word roast has been sort of kicked around here, and I started to think, you know, Jim, we've known each other for so long. I mean, there was a time when with you and the word member, you know, of Parliament would not be the first thing that you'd think, right? But, you know, I've thought about all of the careers that you've had, Jim. I mean, it starts with being a ball player. You're a great ball player. You could have taken that anywhere. You're a magnificent musician. You're a performing arts company manager and executive and fundraiser, a political campaign organizer. Of course, you were an elected representative here in the province of Manitoba. You sat on the board of a Crown corporation. You've been a university lecturer, a journalist, editorial board member, a newspaper executive, a pundit, a commentator, a narrator, a distinguished lobbyist, and indeed, you know, now you are a federal political candidate, and I believe before too long are going to find yourself in Ottawa and in government. So, you know, that's like 15 careers, and sometimes you ever shake your head and say, you know, maybe it's me. You know, it's hard to concentrate on one thing.
Long before it became a fashionable topic, it was a topic of heavy discussion between us. And when I say heavy discussion, originally it was heavy discussion, and then as we grew older and we got into practice, it became these kinds of discussions. Well, I went into a meeting, and I was the only woman, and I pulled out all my documents, and all the coupons for the Pampers fell all over the table. What do you think they think? And then the next time it was, I went into a meeting and I was the only woman, and I had rollers in my hair. And in fact, your husband saw me when I dropped the children off at school and didn't tell me I had rollers in my hair. So then I had to call my husband and say, why wouldn't you tell Colleen she had rollers in her hair? And he said, well, I didn't know I was supposed to tell Colleen she had rollers in her hair. And B,
I was taking care of Jesse and Kieran.
and then he says, and B, you've walked out with rollers in your hair and you always remember to take them out. Why wouldn't I expect that of her? And then she moved that forward and decided that she wanted to try to build a women's club. And she got this network of women together, of which I was really only a listener, because I think I was already having babies. I was the earliest one to have babies. And she got this network of women together, and she tried to establish a group called the Aurora Club. And she did, in fact, establish that group. She wanted a building. She wanted to create this building on Carlton or another environment. And she wanted to bring women together who would think about ideas and concepts and law and studios. And she gathered artists and philosophers and thinkers. And she didn't get her building, but she did get her club. And we've been a club who's been meeting together for many years, and we've become friends. And It's an amazing group, and it's really a virtual club. And what's remaining now is to really put it on the website. You know, there is this island outside of Buffalo, New York, where they say, I can't remember the name of the island, it was the virtual Israel at one time. And you can go on a website and you can look at what it would have looked like had Israel been located on this island. And we are really relieved for two reasons. One, it gives Jim a lot of time so that he can become Prime Minister. And it gives Colleen a lot of time, and she can become the new Supreme Court Chief Justice. And we feel that with the closeness between the two of them, the problems with the Prime Minister's office and the court will be resolved. And we can move forward in that way as well. Now, the other thing I want to say is that we've raised our kids together. Ira, of course, is principal to two of the Gange boys, Jesse and Kiernan. And it's, you know, you've heard them speak, they're remarkable, and that's what can happen even when they have bad parenting. If you have a good elementary school principal, you can go really far. So, and now since then, Colleen has introduced me to Georgia, who has not been much of a topic. Thank you, Charlotte, for talking about Georgia a little. But Georgia has been the wildest element in my whole relationship with Colleen. She is fabulous, she's full of freedom, and she's full of fun, but she is the most stressful element in the whole Suchet Carr household unit.
Beautiful. Sam, the reading was great. Marcy and Ira, your party for us was amazing. With all of you who have put this together, the backstage and the front stage, thank you so much. Mariana, my wedding advisor, thank you, dear. You thought of so many things that never occurred to me. Rachel, the two I see on the ground at 97 Yale, you were amazing. Cindy and Wayne. Cindy and I always go to each other's weddings. And thank you for being here so much. It just couldn't be a wedding without your doll. And Wayne, thank you so much. So friends. Well, you know, I recently had a conversation with a friend who had just returned from a trip to Paris. And she was telling me how she traveled a lot, and her favorite place in the world in her early travels was Paris. And so she decided she had to go back. And it was a long time since she'd been there. And she realized that Paris was still as beautiful as it had been when she was in her early 20s. And she loved it just as much. And it was still her favorite place. But oh, did she see it through different eyes. And what was so beautiful about it were things that had never occurred to her. Well, you know, it just made me think that weddings are like that. And a wedding, of course, is a joyous celebration at any time. The hope and the promise of young love is something that cannot be compared to anything else. Mariana and Daniel, Alex and Jill, we know that from just watching you. But at this point in life, there's a richness and a thankfulness that is part of being married that is really quite special, and it's really quite wonderful. And it's so great to be able to do this. And besides, I get to wear Eurosoft shoes. So it is something so much, so different and so blessed and so surprising to me that it was that different. Now, I think the latest census, which is probably quite old now because of course we know the information is not being properly collected, says that there are about 15,000 Jews in Winnipeg. And some of you know that Jimmy claims to be cousins with 12,700 of them, and the rest are recently arrived from Argentina. And you also know that Jimmy's favorite pastime is making new friends. As Kiernan early on called him, "That guy's Professor Friendly." So you can imagine that putting together the guest list for this event was a bit of a challenge. And what I can say to you is that each and every one of you here tonight are something very special to us. You have a very special place in our lives and in our hearts. Some of you are longtime friends, I was going to say some of you are old, well, actually a lot of you are old. But some of you are old friends and some of you are new friends. And for those of you in the crowd that were brownies, I was a leprechaun. We all know that make new friends but keep the old is the key to life. And all of you here, in different ways, and sometimes in many ways, help keep us together, make us look as good as we can look, and even though it's a bit of a thin veneer on days, you help us want to be together and keep things together, and some of you are the people for whom we keep things together. But what all of you do is you make our lives in the past, in the present, and we hope for the future, very, very rich. You are all the people, if I can distort one of Ram Dass's phrase, that we really just want to walk home together with. So, on that note of walking home, many of you have been in our home, and I just thought that I would take the opportunity, since you're gathered here, to point out that we do have a pair of ladies' Geoc shoes, size 38, 3 umbrellas, a man's plaid scarf, a bleaching jacket, and a pair of galoshes that I know aren't Jessie's. I think they're somebody much older because they do look like they come from the 1950s. So if any of you own those things, before you walk home, please feel free to come to 97 Yale. We have a security system, but the door's never locked. You're welcome to take them off. So, to the kids, there's a requirement to be a member of this family. It's that you have a very large personality. So each of you was carefully screened from a large number of applicants, and we can tell you that you scored the highest. 97 Yale is endlessly interesting, and most days joyous, and I mean that so much. We have come together, and we have grown together, we have learned together, and I think we're all an amazing group of individuals. And I just can't tell you how much you guys inspire us. You keep us young, you challenge us daily, hourly, sometimes, and you just make us think about the world in different ways than we otherwise would. There's a lovely line from a Wordsworth poem that I've always loved so much because it's so enigmatic. The child is father to the man. And of course, many English scholars have debated this meaning, but of this line. I think it's actually got one that I've never heard discussed, and that is that your kids teach you so much. And it's the children that are, the child that's father to the man or father to the woman, because we learn so much from our children. And man, have you guys taught us an awful lot. Daniel and Kieran and Jessie, I'm not going to say too much because you know I will blubber and I'll embarrass you, but I will just say this. Your love and your support over your lifetimes has inspired me. And children don't realize how much they need their parents, or how much their parents need their support. But we do. And you guys have done an amazing job. Rachel, Becky, Ben, It's been a privilege and a joy to be able to be part of your family. And I love you deeply. And you're wonderfully interesting, great, great people. Thank you. To my girls, to Rachel, to Becky, Mariana, and Chloe. You know, the girls in my family used to be me and Shanty, the dog. And so now here I have all of you, and it's so great to have girl things to talk about. I love you so much. Now, I just want to say a couple of words about the dishwasher. Now, you know, a family is a community, right? And a community is a society, and every society has to have a good public policy. And you know, the whole key to public policy is, you know, developing a meaningful strategy. I mean, this is what I think it is. What do I know? This isn't what I do for a living, but I would think it's developing a meaningful, important strategy and creating awareness. And then after you create awareness, you then change behaviors. And I know I created awareness because I did send you all the video about how to load a dishwasher, which I know that only one of you looked at. But I have noticed, Rachel, of course, but I have noticed there's been a few Facebook postings about loading the dishwasher. And so I just want to say that I consider this to have been a great accomplishment, that all of you are conscious of the importance of putting the dishes in the dishwasher. And I am now taking this opportunity to announce a new public policy strategy, and that is, don't dump the coffee grinds in the dish rack. So from here on in, I will be adding this to my platform. There will be new messages on the whiteboard. There will be stickies on the window from time to time. Few foolscap taped to various parts of the kitchen. And I feel that together, as a community, we can do great things. Jimmy, my darling. Well, here we are. You know, there's 10 reasons I love you. I love how you love to sing. I love how you love to be silly. I love how you love to have fun. I love how you go along with my ideas, like buying a giant, run-down house on Yale with orange carpet and no kitchen. And with no idea, because your spatial analysis and those sorts of things could not conceptualize what the hell this place was going to look like, that you just agreed to do it. I love how you understood when I said, darling, we have to move back. We have to move our cottage to the boreal forest. You have no idea what that meant. I love how you try so hard to do the things that you think I want to do, even though you have no idea why I want to do them. And I love how you smooth my heart after a very long day in my work. And most of all, my darling, I love how you love me.
A lot of speeches. And I'm not going to rebut because I want to dance. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes thanking a person or two and then talking about Colleen for a minute. Sean Greenberg and I have known each other 50 years, and for 50 years I have wanted her to marry me, and today she did. She married my brother. She married me too. Sean, in a way, is a symbol of our community and relationships that develop very early on in life and end up deeper and broader and more meaningful all the time. And we really did meet each other when we were 12. And we danced to the Beatles at JYO, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. And here we are 50 years later and change, and she's marrying Colleen and I. And I know I could go around the room and I see my friend and my chairman, Lloyd Axworthy here, with whom I've knocked on doors for almost as long as that. And I could go literally across this room and tell stories about my relationship with every one of you in ways that are meaningful to me and I hope to you. And as I look forward to the next phase of my life and knocking on those doors and picking up the telephone and talking to people and listening to people about what matters to them, I realize that the core idea of all of it is the family. And the family begins with parents, and it begins with the relationships that form us as individuals and develop who we are with those whom we love the most and who have loved the longest. But the idea of family can't be blood we share, because in the case of our kids, we don't share blood. We share something else. We share a house. We share a dishwasher. We share having to get along with each other in ways that really matter. And that really, to me, is a metaphor for what the world needs. And I have to tell you that I have never met anybody in my life who knows how to make that happen better, with more grace, with more love, with more understanding than Colleen. The number of balls that she has in the air at any given time is mesmerizing. And the way in which she juggles them is the way in which a magician makes us wonder, how can they actually make all that happen? And she makes it happen with so much love and affection and a sense of what has to be done. So the leadership I aspire to is knowing who the great leaders are. And in my life and in my family, Colleen is my leader. And we are so thrilled to share this moment with all of you, our dearest friends. I want you to know that coming up with this guest list was not easy, because we have very wide circles of friends and relatives. And the only people who were asked to share this wonderful night with us were the people we wanted to do it. So every one of you, you are here because we want to share this with you. We've shared words, and now we want to share dance, song, if you're inspired. There are a few of you whose voice I don't want to hear. Sean, unless you want to do Tammy Wynette, I don't want that. So I don't want to rebut. I want to rejoice in this moment with our dearest friends. I want to say to Colleen, I love you. And this is the first day of a very long and joyous road. So thank you all. Let's dance.